Iranian Foreign Ministry says attempts to give Syria's seat at the UN to the opposition is a dangerous precedent. Syrian armed forces continue chasing terrorist groups in several areas, inflicting heavy losses upon them in various areas. Cardinal Al-Ra'i demands Lebanese authorities not to make Lebanon a crossing for smuggling weapons into Syria. Good afternoon, this is news in English from the Syrian Arab television in Damascus. Iran has reiterated its support to halt violence in Syria, asserting that the Syrians have the sole right to determine their country's political future through elections. Addressing students and teachers of the state-run Belarus University, spokesman of the Iranian Foreign Ministry Ramin Mehmanbrest wondered why the Western countries don't allow the Syrian people to determine their own political future through elections, pointing out that Iran's policy aims to enhance security and stability in the region. He concluded his speech by saying that Iran sees that stability was for the best interest of all countries in the region, but the best interests of the Western countries. These interests are in stability, adding that the concerned countries should cooperate to find solutions to any crisis to be witnessed in the region. Iran's Premier's envoy to the UN, Mohammad Khazai, said that the attempt by a number of states to give the Syrian seat at the UN to the so-called Syrian opposition abroad will affect the international laws and could target the countries that supported it, describing the move as very dangerous. Khazai said that differences in viewpoints among envoys at the UN are natural, but replacement of opposition in the place of the state is considered a precedent and in a dangerous way. Cardinal Marib-Shara Boutros Al-Ra'i, the Bishop of Antioch and the whole Orient for the Maronite Church, demanded the Lebanese authorities not to make the Lebanese territories a crossing for smuggling weapons into Syria. In a message he sent on the occasion of Easter, Cardinal Al-Ra'i demanded the armed groups who are killing people and destroying their properties in Syria and Lebanon through funds and weapons coming from abroad, and accept dialogue as a way out of the crisis. In Beirut, several youth and student organizations staged a sit-in and lit candles in honor of the martyrs who fell as a result of targeting the Faculty of Architectural Engineering at Damascus University with mortar shells by terrorists. In Aleppo, an armed terrorist group assassinated last night Sheikh Hassan Saifuddin, the Imam of Al-Hassan Mosque in Sheikh Maqsood neighborhood. An official source in Aleppo said that the terrorists mutilated the body of the late Imam after killing him. In Deir Zor, guard forces confronted armed terrorist groups' attack on the second station of oil in Al-Bukamal. An official source in the city said that the guard forces killed a number of terrorists and injured others. The source added that units of the armed forces killed a number of terrorists in Al-Hawaiqa and Al-Urfi neighborhoods in the city of Deir Zor. For the third consecutive day, citizens in Al-Masarib in Deir Zor continued confronting terrorists from Jabhat al-Nusra in Manjam al-Milh, killing a number of them. A unit of the armed forces clashed with terrorists in Al-Muwazzafin neighborhood in Deir Zor, killing and injuring a number of them. Another unit of the armed forces clashed with an armed terrorist group in Al-Mreje, killing a number of terrorists, among them snipers. Units of the armed forces continued chasing armed terrorist groups in Qara, Yabrud and Adra in Damascus countryside. A large number of terrorist groups were killed and others were injured in the operation. A military source mentioned that an army unit eliminated leader of the armed terrorist group and destroyed a number of their equipment and vehicles in the city of Al-Nabik. In another context, an army unit destroyed a workshop for manufacturing explosive devices in the farms surrounding the city of Adra, with all the terrorists and bombs inside it. In Damascus' eastern countryside, units of the armed forces eliminated a number of terrorists and injured others in confrontations in the Shifoni orchards, Al-Ataybi and Jobar. A source said that a unit of the armed forces destroyed a hideout for the terrorists with all their arms, in addition to 2 vehicles used by terrorists to carry out their terrorist attacks in Shifoni orchards. The source added that units of the armed forces destroyed dens used by armed terrorist groups and other gatherings of them in a series of operations carried out in Al-Ataybi town, inflicting heavy losses among them. In Jobar, units of the armed forces confronted terrorist groups near the sports hall, killing 3 snipers and a number of terrorists. In Hama, and in cooperation with the locals, units of the Syrian Arab Armed Forces confronted a terrorist group that attacked the locals and looted their properties in Qassarin area in Hama eastern countryside, killing and injuring all of the terrorists and confiscating huge amounts of arms and ammunition that were in their possession. Units of the armed forces inflicted heavy losses among the armed terrorist groups in a series of operations carried out in Idlib province and its countryside, killing and wounding all the terrorists. A military source said that the terrorist groups killed, vandalized and looted houses of the locals in Wadi al-Muhammil, Taum, Kafar Jalis, Ma'arat Masrin, Binnish and Ma'arat al-Nu'man villages and towns before eliminating them all. And in Daraa province, units of the armed forces destroyed hideouts and gatherings used by terrorists in Al-Mayazin, Al-Yaduda, Daraa Camp and Da'il, killing and injuring a number of them. With this, we come to the end of our news for today. For more details, you can visit our website on the internet, www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us after the break, the latest in economy.